Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. So, what we want to talk about is just actually quite quickly go and find out what's happening with Canadian inflation, because that might give us an idea as to what we're looking for tomorrow. Because obviously, tomorrow is a very, very big day. We have quite a lot going on, actually. Let me just quickly bring up my screen here. Bosh, bosh. So, this is just Bloomberg. Hopefully, we'll get a bit of news. Just double check. I'll mute that there. So yeah, so today we're looking at the core inflation coming out from Canada. Now it's not really going to affect us too much, I don't think, but this might give us a bit of, a more up-to-date understanding as to how inflation is getting on in the US. Obviously, we know it increased previously, but we have the Fed coming out with their interest rate decision, and we're currently looking at that 75 basis point hike. So we might hear something off of the Bloomberg channel. There we go. AJ, just while we wait here, how are you? How have you been feeling about the old markets?
I'm doing well. The markets don't seem to be doing well. We had a little bounce yesterday, but as of today, we are seeing that pullback down to close to that $19,000 level. Currently sat at $19,085 currently. So we are coming back down to that $19,000 level. And as we know, the $19,000 level is major support, which we need to hold. And if we can't hold that, then we could see much lower.
Yep, and just to give you guys an update, like I said, not really too much of a move in the prices that we're looking at here, but we do have US August building permits have fallen by 10%. Not really, not really too much news for us anyway. S&P futures kind of holding relatively steady, down on the day. Should we have a look at this on a chart, AJ? Maybe bring up like the Bitcoin chart on a lower time frame, just see if anything has, I guess, had an effect on what's going on in the old price of Bitcoin.
Yeah, looking at it now, has the data just come out now? Yeah,
Yes, yeah, just
yeah. So we haven't seen much of a reaction at all. Not really a reaction.
no, no. So well, not too. One thing I think this US August housing starts. Yeah. So to be honest, actually, I'm surprised the housing is still coming in quite strong. In the US, which I think, by the way, guys, is probably like a lagging indicator. So I think that will begin to, start showing us some bad numbers much later than what we're seeing, with the likes of the stock market. That pretty much, as soon as Jerome Powell said something, you mentioned this, didn't you, AJ? As soon as Jerome Powell talks, just something goes wrong. It's very annoying. Like, just the
It is.
market does not like it at
And
all.
talking about the housing market, I do think that lags behind because everyone needs housing. Everyone needs a place to live. So that's the reason I think that it does lag behind.
Yeah, exactly. I think I think you're right. It does lag behind. We're seeing the building permits have fallen by 10%, and I think also just because it takes a lot longer to buy and sell that particular asset. So obviously, if you want to buy a house, you have to like find it. You do like loads of research on it in terms of you might get a survey, and you might do a whole load of things to check that it's right, and then you've got the lawyers involved, and then you've actually got to send the funds and just typically contracts and stuff take a lot longer. Whereas with the stock market, if some bad news comes, you just instantly sell it. You don't have to wait to find a buyer. You don't have to wait for them to do the due diligence and all this type of stuff and negotiation. So it does typically, lag behind, I will say. But like I said, tomorrow we're kind of focusing on this Fed rate decision, currently sitting at a 75 basis point hike being the most likely scenario, bringing us from that 2.5 up to that 3.25, as you can see here. So that's going to be in 1 day and 5 hours time. So we'll probably be going live tomorrow, 5.5 hours after this time today, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it'll be quite a late one, but I believe this is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or 2 o'clock. Yeah, there you go, 2 o'clock in US time. But apart from that, there's not really too much that's been going on. We've seen XRP have a nice little pump, which is always good.
Yeah.
But yeah, aside from that, it hasn't really been too exciting. That crash, but you mentioned that yesterday, didn't you, AJ?
Yes, yeah, I did. I went through that and why we saw that on the technical side of things. We just couldn't get above that golden pocket that I was showing you. You know that I had that trade open, and I moved that stop loss. I moved my stop loss to that entry point, and I was just going to let that trade ride out. Got above the golden pocket, great. We would have seen a lot higher prices, but unfortunately, we couldn't get above that golden pocket. We tested it 3 times, and we just kept on getting rejected from it. And then we saw that final rejection, and then we saw this big move towards the downside. So, yeah, it wasn't too good. Luckily, I moved that stop loss, and I mentioned that in the live stream as well on Saturday that I moved that stop loss to the entry point, and I mean, I lost $4 on the fees, and that's about it. So, you've always got to make sure you've got your protection. Always remember you're putting your stop losses in, and when a trade is doing well, it was going well. You've always got to remember to move that stop loss to the break even point if the trade is going well, because you never want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade, but it's okay to turn a winning trade into a break even trade. So that's how I see it, and that's what I always do. And as I said, if we got above the golden pocket, then great. We could have seen higher prices, but we didn't. We got the rejection, and the price came lower. So yeah, it wasn't too good. And obviously, we've seen the price come all the way back down to, I think it came down to $18,100 approximately. So yeah, wasn't looking good. And if I just bring up the bigger time frame here, let's have a look at the 1 hour quickly. So we can see we have this range as well, this shorter term range after this push towards the downside. And then we got rejected from that golden pocket. That's why we saw this price come down. And actually, am I looking at the right thing? Yes, I am looking at the right thing. And yeah, the price actually came back up and tested the golden pocket again. And now we are seeing another rejection from that level. So you can see that this golden pocket is playing as a really, really strong resistance, and that lines up with the point of control as well. So lots of resistance there. That's why we are seeing this next push towards the downside as well. This next push towards the downside, it could take us to this lower than this swing low back here, which brought us to around $18,200, $100, depending on the exchange that you are looking at. But yeah, it's not looking too good. Neither is the S&P 500. You could technically say that we have broken towards the downside here on the S&P 500, and this is the retest. And today we could potentially be getting the rejection from it. But for me, it just wasn't a solid enough break towards the downside. So what I'll be looking at here is either a rejection or just the bigger candle. Sort of for a confirmed rejection from this level. So, you could say that we have broken towards the downside here, but it's not really a clean break for me. So either that rejection or just the bigger red candle would be what I was looking at. Was I not sharing my screen there?
No, no, no. I just went and changed it though, so
Ah,
you're okay.
oh, sorry, yeah. Just going back to that Bitcoin, then, just to mention what happens. This golden pocket played really, really strong resistance. Previously it's been resistance. We got that big rejection, and here it played as a resistance as well, and that's why we are getting this next leg down as well. Potential next leg down. We are getting that rejection from that level as well. So, yeah, not looking too good at the moment. As well as seeing the DXY staying at that $110 level. If that continues to push, of course, we are not going to see Bitcoin or the traditional markets pump anytime soon. So yeah, S&P 500 looks like it has potentially had that break towards the downside, had that retest, and maybe getting a rejection today. And of course, tomorrow is that big day. We do have to look at the charts and be aware of tomorrow, because every time Jerome Powell seems to speak, recently, every time we've seen Jerome Powell speak, we have seen the market just crash. So it is expected that we could see the market crash again tomorrow. I don't know what your opinion is on what we're going to get. I know it's looking highly likely we're going to get a 75 basis point rate hike, but I know that a lot of people are also talking about that 100 basis point as well. What's your view on it, Ben?
Yeah, I think I kind of want the 100 basis point hike. I think it's probably good just keep the prices down for a little bit longer, get inflation under control. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, there's just been that narrative for so long that these guys they don't understand how to whether it's either like fully price or understand where they are with inflation. So it does, every time that they have an expectation and they miss it, they just look a little bit more silly than is needed. And also, I think because the core inflation did come in so much higher than before, this is obviously going to be quite bad for the market. So I don't know. I'm like everything in my head tells me it's going to be 75 basis points,
Yeah.
but also I wouldn't be surprised if we did get that 100 basis point, just for Jerome to kind of like, say, hey, look at me, look how good and professional I am, like the
Yeah.
market wouldn't like it, obviously we're dumb. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do think Jerome Powell needs to do something a bit more serious, because just all the data, he's been off by so much. But then again, there's some pressure from like some people saying, "Oh, let's just take the foot off the gas," and other people saying, "Oh, keep the pressure on." But yeah, was it former Treasury Secretary? He said that he would go for a 100 basis point hike to
Yes.
regain control, should we say? So yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I personally would put it maybe 50-50 as like a
Yeah.
chance of going 100 basis point or 75. But 75's just been talked about. It's been done twice before. So it is kind of looking like the most likely thing, I think.
Yeah.
But like,
Either way, though, I think the market is probably going to have a negative reaction to it. Not 100%, so
yeah,
don't take my word for it. But previously, we've had the negative reaction to it. Maybe afterwards we had a little push towards the upside, but initially, we've just been going lower. So, yeah,
yeah.
for me, I
Well,
just think we're going to see that negative reaction.
because I think, like we said, 75 has been priced in, or I'd say pretty much. So
Yeah.
if we get 75 basis points, there's like, okay, that's not great, but we're still in a downward trend. So it's not like, oh, this is amazing, 75. Now let's pump. That's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
It's yeah.
But then if we do have the 100, it's going to be bad again because that hasn't been priced in. So the
Yeah.
market will try to instantly price it in, and so that will lead to a big dump. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's not good either way.
It's
Can
not.
we have a quick look at the dominance?
Yes, I was going to bring that up as well. So the
Yeah,
dominance is actually bouncing off of that major support level, as you can see right here. And we are expecting the dominance to continue to increase if we do see Bitcoin continue to fall, because obviously altcoins and Ethereum will be hit a lot more if we do get another major leg towards the downside. Say Bitcoin comes down to 14,000, even 12,000, then we are most definitely going to see the altcoins and Ethereum have a much, much bigger hit, which will most likely bring the dominance all the way back up to this resistance, where hopefully Bitcoin can finally bottom out, and then we get a rejection from that resistance, and then we can start looking at getting into some altcoins potentially.
yeah. I kind of see this actually moving further up. I do think the Bitcoin dominance will continue to increase. The only thing that had me worried about it, kind of moving to the downside or just sticking around the current level of like what 40% or so where it
Yeah,
is the Ethereum merge.
yeah,
So that kind of made me think, oh well, maybe everyone's going to get into Ethereum. Maybe we're going to see a lot of people pump the altcoins. But in fact, it actually hasn't. Like the merge has kind of proven to be quite underwhelming, I guess is probably a
yeah,
good word, in terms of adoption anyway.
yeah,
Obviously it's good for us who are currently in the crypto market, but I don't think it's sparked any major interest. Even though we are seeing a lot of institutional people move into staking,
yeah.
it just hasn't really done too much. And I think because of that, that doesn't make me think, oh, everyone's going to jump into altcoins.
Yeah, definitely. And on the technical side of things, we still have this rising wedge, which did break towards the downside back in the middle of August. And that's still in play. We haven't invalidated that yet. And that target is down at 1,000. So we're still looking at Ethereum potentially coming down to that $1,000 level, which, of course, if that happens, then Bitcoin will have most likely broken its major support level at 19,000. And then from there, I think potentially all hell breaks loose for the crypto markets, and we could see, these targets that people are talking about, maybe even 12,000 coming into play.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And also, I mean, another thing that we do have to talk about is the Mt. Gox. So a load of their crypto is going to be, or Bitcoin will be given back to the original investors. So that's one thing that I think is, it could have an effect. What we've seen here from some of the data is that the
Share your
long
screen.
or life. Say that again. Sorry.
Do you want your screen shared? Sorry.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I only have this like little article. This is nothing about Mount Gox, but it does show the active supply, or yeah, the amount of supply active in the last 5 to 7 years. And again, this is the percentage supply last active. So what they're saying is basically nowadays we've had the most amount of inactive supply. So hodling, basically, more people are hodling, and this it is good. It is good that we are having these hodlers, but we are going to have a whole load of new Bitcoin coming in. So I think this just kind of shows the people who were waiting, they're still going to keep waiting, but it's not like, okay, I'm waiting, so let's now start buying up loads of Bitcoin. I think a lot of people are still a little bit cautious. And if you've been waiting for a long time, you're just going to continue waiting.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I think, the only thing that can happen with regards to Mount Gox over the next couple of weeks or next month or so is that people will sell,
yeah. And
which I don't think is great.
we showed a chart I think maybe a few weeks ago now, about the amount of cash that was being held by,
Yes.
well, in America, the amount of cash that was being held, and that was at all-time highs since 2001. So you can see that chart showed you that a lot of people were just holding off with investing into anything, and were just holding onto the US dollar. And as I said, not investing into anything. They were just waiting. But as you said, perfectly there, as they wait, they're going to continue to wait and wait. And even if it comes down to these targets, we have 12,000, 10,000. They're probably going to keep waiting for lower, and then the price starts to move up, and they get back up to 19,000, and then they start getting in late. So yeah, people who wait are
Yeah.
always keep waiting. That's why dollar cost averaging for me is the best strategy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And also, one thing is, again, we are seeing, we had this recently. So this was only like a couple of days ago. And I think we mentioned it, but it's the largest inflows onto exchanges, which basically means you put it on there. You put your Bitcoin back onto an exchange so you can sell it because you take it out of, uh, with like your cold wallet, basically. You
Yeah,
take it out of the vault so that you can put it onto the market so you can sell it. So this is, I think we will continue to see more of these quite high levels of exchange inflows over the next couple of weeks. And I
yeah,
think that will then lead to a bit of a capitulation and probably bring us back down below this kind of 19K level where we're just pretty much hovering, shall we say.
yeah. This is what
Which
people
is
are
not
waiting for tomorrow. I reckon people are waiting for tomorrow, getting all their Bitcoin onto exchanges, and if we get a negative reaction, then a lot of people are going to sell.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, personally, I don't mind holding for like,
Mm.
I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind. But I think a lot of people are just going to be looking to take some, well, I say take profits, just mitigate loss. And that is exactly as done just by put it on exchange. If we get a negative hit, a 1% rate, then everyone's going to be like, right, okay, everyone start talking about recession again, start talking about, crazy high inflation, all these rates, blah, 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 company's not going to grow, blah, 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 blah. So obviously everyone's going to be selling out those major risky assets, obviously, of which Bitcoin is one. So not good, unfortunately. I have come here as Mr. Doom and Gloom for all of you, which is pretty rubbish, but it's got to be done, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's the reality of it, and the whole all the markets. They're not looking good at the moment, and with what's going on globally, that's not looking good either. That's not looking good for the markets either. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
something that has to be made aware. People have to
yeah.
people aware of.
It is good to see that long-term holders, such as Sailor, someone has put in the comments here, he bought more when done, which I imagine, like, he's basically buying the dip, which is good to see. It is good to see. I saw this thing the other day, actually. It was about El Salvador and their Bitcoin performance. There's basically like minus 50%, which is not good. They had like an average buying price of 40 44, I want to say. So they're down over 50%. So it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy, pretty bad. But obviously they didn't buy it as like an asset to hold, and
Yeah.
they've only bought, I think, around about a couple 100 million, maybe like 300. I think 300 million they bought. Um,
And they've got a
but yeah,
re-election. They've got a re-election going on as well, so it doesn't look too
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
I forget his name. Um,
Nayib Bakule.
yeah, that's it. So it doesn't look
Yeah.
too good for him.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is that, one thing I think people should realize is they chose Bitcoin as a method of transaction. They did it for the Lightning Network, not for the appreciation of the asset. Of being able to. It is annoying if you get paid in Bitcoin, it drops by 10% on a single day. Suddenly you get paid and you're like, right, sweet, I've got money, and then 10% of it just goes. And you're like, right, okay, what happened? What happened to my money? So obviously that's not good. But like primarily they're having it so that they can transact using the Lightning Network. And I think it will probably have some like benefits in the future, but for now it hasn't proved as being a good bet.
Mm,
But we will believe in Bitcoin long term, so I think we'll be
yeah,
fine. Hopefully,
yeah, yeah. I
maybe.
agree.
Fingers But anyway, there we go. Um, is there anything else you want to add into here, AJ?
Just having a look. No, there's nothing too much to talk about here on the charts either. So, yeah, I think that's everything for today.
There we go. Well, look, guys, thank you very much for joining. I'll leave you with a relatively, well, I said this. No, I won't. This is a bad idea. I was going to say I'll leave you with a little bit of green, but it's, that's not really worked out, has
No,
it?
not much. Just
No,
show the
no.
expensive.
Yeah, you're down 16% in the week, but you're up by 2% on the day, so that's good. And then also, yeah, even if we look at the 30-day, yeah. So it's not been a great month, but keep your head up. Everything will be fine in the future. Let's hope.
Yeah, we did warn of this. It is September.
Yes, that is very true, actually. Yeah, we did warn everybody about
Yeah,
this. We knew it would happen. Well, we didn't know it would happen, but
the
we
likelihood of it.
foresaw.
Yeah. There
Yes,
we go.
there you go. Okay, well, anyway, look, guys, thank you very much for joining. Make sure you drop a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel. And we will continue to bring you more like this. Also, tomorrow at 2 o'clock New York time, I believe it's New York, Eastern time, Eastern time. Make sure that you come and join us for a live hearing from Jerome Powell himself. And then what I'll probably do is like maybe a couple hours later, I'll just do a recap on what the whole thing means and how it is going to affect us moving forward. There
Yeah.
we go.
See
Thank
you
you very much
tomorrow,
for watching,
guys.
guys.
Thank you very much for watching.
See you then.